So in this video, we're going to be talking about the caretaker. We have Phyllis Dibella with us. If you haven't seen the video talking about her husband, Joe Dibella, I recommend you view that. But we're going to be interviewing her, and she's going to be telling us about her experience. There are lots of people out there who have to do this on a daily basis. She has a lot of experience, and I know she can bring a lot of value to lots of you people watching. So without further ado, Phyllis, thank you so much for taking your time to being here and just talk with me about this. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about Joe and what role you play within the caretaker element with this.
Okay, well, I am his wife and his caregiver, and I do a lot of the work with the dialysis. We do the peritoneal dialysis at home every night of the week. Can't miss a night. And I do a lot of the setup and cleanup and ordering supplies and just organizing the whole process, keeping the area neat and clean, and keeping things sterile that need to be sterile, and just being a support for him, just encouraging him with doing what he needs to do every day, and encouraging him through the difficult times with it. It's not easy. He still isn't feeling well all the time, and there's still causes for concern and seeing doctors and going to the clinic and lots of things like that.
Sure, I imagine. Yeah. And what, I guess, when you had to first start going through this dialysis, not you personally, but being the caretaker right. In this case, what were some things that you were thinking? Was it overwhelming?
It was overwhelming at first. He's been in kidney failure for quite a while, and even in stage 4 and then into stage 5, but he was hanging in there waiting for a transplant, and we were not doing dialysis. And it was just one day we got a call, and his blood work was even worse than usual. And they said, we need to get him started on dialysis. And they said, this is called urgent start. And I had never heard of that before. And evidently, they get you in the hospital as quickly as possible to insert the catheter into your peritoneal cavity if you're going to do the peritoneal dialysis. I'm not sure how it works with hemodialysis, but at least with the peritoneal, they get you in, put the catheter in, and you might have a day or two off, depending on how serious it is. But then right after that, you start in with training on how to do the dialysis, and you actually are doing dialysis. You do go into the clinic, even though that's what you won't be doing in the future. But for the first 2 weeks, you do go to the clinic every day, and you're trained in how to set up and how to go through the whole process of the peritoneal dialysis. So you're basically doing it in the clinic for 2 weeks until you're trained to do it at home. Then you will have a nurse, maybe 2 nurses from the clinic. Now I'm speaking of DaVita. There are other clinics, but we go through DaVita. This is how they do it. They come out to the house, and they bring you the equipment you need, and they check how you have it all set up. They help you get it set up, and then you're on your own to do it.
And was that overwhelming?
It was.
After the training was over, you came to the house and you had that first night.
Yeah.
Were you able to sleep all right?
It was interesting because, we had encouragement from the nurses at the clinic saying, you've got this, you can do it. They are very careful to watch you and to be sure that you know what you're doing. Be sure that you understand it. Because if they feel that you're not getting it, that you don't understand it, they won't let you proceed with it. You will,
They can deny you access to have the equipment at the house, and you have to continue to go to the center.
Yes. You would have to then do the hemodialysis, which is basically in center 3 times a week. And it's not as effective as the peritoneal. It does work better for some people, and some people would prefer to do that. But they watch you carefully, and they want to be sure that you are capable of doing this.
That's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
What challenges throughout almost 2 years of dialysis, with helping with your husband, what challenges have you experienced as a caretaker assisting your husband with this?
The challenges are just the concern that you're doing everything in as sterile as possible and keeping things clean, because there is always the possibility of peritonitis, which is an infection in the peritoneal cavity, and that is something that would could cause hospitalization. It can cause a lot of problems. So you want to be sure you're doing everything precisely as it should be done. So that's what you asked me about, challenges, right?
Yeah, challenges.
So that's the biggest challenge. And then just, I think, adjusting your schedule and the things that have to be done. Even though you do it through the night, there's things that you need to do during the day to be ready for the dialysis at night.
Can you explain what things you have to prepare during the day to be prepared at nighttime?
Well, when he's finished the therapy in the morning, he's disconnected from the machine, because he is literally tied to the machine with the tubes that run the solution, the dialysate, through his body. So you disconnect him in the morning and you go through about a 20-minute process with that, getting all the things done that have to be done to get him safely disconnected. After that, you have to clean up the area where you did the dialysis. Later on, or at the same time, you can set up the area for the next night. So there's probably about an hour's worth of work there when you add up the disconnect time and the setup time.
Okay.
And then it's all ready for the evening. When he's ready to go to bed, then you probably have another 15 to 20 minutes of time to to connect him to the machine.
Right.
The machine should be set up. You can do all your setup and your connecting to the machine all at the same time, but you're usually tired. So I try to do it during the day. But you have to be flexible with your day. It's the dialysis is gonna cut into your daytime
activities.
Schedule, and activities.
Which kind of limits my next question: the daily routines that you have since the dialysis started. Has that affected lots of your daily routines and everything?
It has. Like I said, you can disconnect in the morning and you can clean that all up, and then you can go right ahead and set it up for the evening. If you're going to be out all day long and you're going to get home after dinner, maybe you're going to be out all day and through dinner, and then you get home and it's already set up.
Okay.
So you have to figure
Plan
out. Plan ahead.
Sure. Now, for some of the viewers out there who maybe need to travel or leave their house for a couple of days to go somewhere else, how is that feasible?
You can travel with peritoneal dialysis. There are DaVita has guest services. You have to contact them. You have to be hooked up with a clinic that's nearby where you're traveling, and they will do that. They will find a clinic that will have all your information. Your clinic will send all the insurance information, all your health records to that clinic where you're going.
Right.
We've done this 3 times since he's been on dialysis. We've traveled twice to Texas from Virginia and once to North Carolina to the beach, and brought everything with us. You can also have supplies sent to the location where you're going. So instead of having a delivery of your supplies to your home, you have them delivered to the place where you're going.
Okay. So that makes it just easier.
A little bit easier, but you do have to carry the 26-pound machine with you.
Okay.
They don't provide the machine for you where you're going.
Okay. But everything else then. Okay. It could be helpful for someone in the future if they need to travel somewhere. They can know to send it to that place.
Yeah. It was easy when we went to the beach because we were driving there. So I have 2 strong sons that just picked up everything and put it in the car. But we're talking about a 26-pound machine, and we're talking about boxes of solution that weigh 30 pounds each.
Oh, wow.
So,
and how much solution do you have to have?
You use one of those 30-pound boxes every night. So if you're going for a week, you're taking 7, and you're probably going to take 8 or 9 just in case there's a contaminated bag in there, or you happen to break the bag and contaminate it somehow yourself. So you're going to be bringing a lot. You're going to be packing up the back of your car with dialysis.
Everything included. Yeah. So in general, what advice would you give other caretakers who are about to start this process? Like I said, you've been doing it for 2 years now, almost 2 years.
Mhm.
For someone who recently maybe got diagnosed with stage 5 and is starting the process with dialysis, their husband, their wife, whoever's helping them out with this process, what advice can you give to them?
Hmm. Ask questions at your clinic. Hopefully, you're going to have a nurse that's available. I mean, we've had great nurses, they've been available. We can text them and they have access to the doctor, to the nephrologist, and ask questions if you're unsure. Um, they're going to give you a manual that goes with the machine that gives you all the directions of what you're doing. Refer to that manual. Don't assume that you know what you're doing. I still, after almost 2 years, look through the pages in this one little manual that goes with the machine and flip the pages. It's a routine. Get into the routine and do the same thing every day. Just be vigilant, be persistent. And if you think you've made a mistake, there's two resources. You can call DaVita if you need to talk to a nurse 24/7. There's a hotline, and you
Mhm.
can call Baxter, the maker of the machine and the producer of all the products that go with that machine. You can call them if you have something related to the machine
Mhm.
24/7.
I think some other advice. We have the
Oh,
notebook here. Phyllis has been taking notes from all the previous appointments, from the nephrologist, other appointments as well. It is filled with information for her to look back on. So I would recommend to anybody as well who's new to this. You might have a good memory, but it's good to jot some things down at the very end of your appointment. It's good to just have your doctor go over maybe some of the key points that you covered.
and you'll find out that the doctor will talk to you more than the patient sometimes, because sometimes the patient is not feeling well when you're in the doctor's office, just in general not feeling well, or the different drugs that they're taking, um, make them foggy, cloudy, and
Mhm.
they won't retain. And you won't retain either all the different things, even though maybe you're hearing it. So write it down. It's really good.
Sure, that's good advice, and you can tell that book is full of notes there. So, what kind of support do you receive from the healthcare professionals?
The healthcare professionals, well, the nurses and the nephrologist, we get a lot of help from him. The nurses at the DaVita clinic, um, and we get training at the DaVita clinic too. We go twice a month. One time is called Doctor Day, and all the DaVita clinics work like this. And you meet with the doctor, and you meet with the nurses that are there, the social worker, the dietitian, and the other time during the month, it's a blood draw, but you still again meet with the nurse and the dietitian and the social worker. And they have specific training where they go over things with you. They go over diet, they go over the process of dialysis, they go over ways that you can contaminate,
Mhm.
they go over what to do if this happens or this happens or this happens. They go over all kinds of different things that is part of their program that you have to do. They have to do those things with you. It's not a hit or miss.
Okay.
It's a routine. So we get a lot of help from them.
I know you have been doing it for 2 years. Anytime within that year, do they require you to go to the clinic to do some kind of continuing education just to make sure everything's up to date, you're doing the right things? Or are there updates, new machines that they use?
They actually once a year come out to your house.
Okay.
So we've had two different visits from two different nurses, and they come out here. They have a checklist from DaVita that
Oh.
they have to check
Hmm.
off, that they have looked at this and this and this. They're going to look at your filters for your HVAC system, because
Right.
you have to, when you're doing the dialysis, connecting and disconnecting, you have to shut off your HVAC system. You have to get dogs and cats out of the bedroom or wherever place you're doing the dialysis. And so they come and check and see if you are following all these things. They want to see where your machine is, where you're keeping your supplies, if you have all the supplies. You have to order all the supplies that you use,
Hmm.
and they're delivered to your house. But they want to check and be sure you're doing it right.
Yeah, no, I imagine.
So,
Yeah, to make sure everything's working out okay. Being diagnosed with stage 5, is emotionally just very difficult for the individual as well for the husband, the spouse. In your case, how did you cope with that when you heard about the diagnosis as well with moving on to the dialysis to help out with that?
well, he's been sick for quite a while, and it's been a slow progression downhill with his kidney function. So I think that's been helpful that we were kind of expecting it. We didn't
Hmm.
know if he would need dialysis. He's been on the transplant list for 5 years.
Okay.
So we didn't know if he would get the transplant before he would start dialysis, but it
Hmm.
didn't happen that way. And we are believers, and we are trusting the Lord for everything in our lives. And we feel like, he has a plan for all of this. So although it's been difficult, we realize that he has the best in store for us.
Sure, without a doubt.
So lots of prayer from friends and family.
Well, good. And what are your hopes for the future regarding your husband's health?
Our hopes are that he would get a kidney,
Okay.
and we think that's on the horizon. We've had 2 other times when we thought it was really close, and it wasn't the right time. And I believe too that the Lord knows why it didn't happen those 2 times. So we're trusting that there's another opportunity coming up soon.
Hmm.
And so we're hopeful that once he has a transplant, he will have better health,
Yeah,
and be stronger, more energy.
that's going to happen, by the way. It's going to happen in God's
you
time.
can you can speak from experience.
Yes, yeah. I mean, when someone is at stage 5, it's just difficult for them to live a normal life in many ways, just because the toxins that they have are just built up in them. There's no escape. But, well, I mean, you could start the dialysis process, but once you have the kidney transplant, that's when that individual will, many ways, have a new life, and you'll be able to see many, many amazing things that the body can do with having the functioning kidney. So as we start finishing up this interview here, is there any message you'd like to give to the viewers regarding your experience or?
It's a huge task
Mhm.
to do peritoneal dialysis, but the training is good. And if the nurses and doctors that you're working with feel that you are equipped to do it, you should push ahead and do it. Ask questions, take notes, be diligent, but don't give up, because if they think you can't do it, they will tell you. So don't second guess yourself. Keep with it. It will keep the patient going and alive.
That's a good way to end this video. And again, if any of you have appointments or are going through dialysis, if you're supporting someone that's going through it, again, what Phyllis said, take notes, be prepared, be there for them, so that you can reference that in the future if anything happens. But again, Phyllis, thank you very much for your time today, for
Thank
sharing
you.
your experience. Hope this video has been very informative for all of you who are going through dialysis or are as well, looking into possibly being a caretaker for someone who's going through it. So again, thank you for your time, and I hope to see all of you in the next video. Take care.